Joseph, what is tapping? Can you explain that for us?
Tapping is a self-help technique that helps people to self-regulate. It neutralizes emotions, and it can also be used when people have physical discomfort in the body. Just like acupuncture, it's used for both physical discomfort in the body and psycho-emotional issues. And what it's been scientifically shown to do is calm the amygdala, right? That's what the Western medicine says. What the Chinese would say that we're doing, and actually the founder of tapping, the creator of tapping, Gary Craig, says that what tapping does is re-regulate the flow of qi. So those are the two ways basically that you can understand what tapping is doing. And amygdala means almond in Latin, and it's a region of the brain that puts us into fight or flight. So when we downregulate the amygdala, it's much easier to deal with problems, whether it be our own or in our environment. And also, through the same process, that's why tapping, like acupuncture, works on both mind and body. Since it does downregulate the amygdala, which helps us neutralize emotions, oftentimes, even though we don't think of it generally like this in the West, physical discomfort, which a doctor would call pain, has an emotional contributing factor. That's why tapping also works on physical discomfort in the body.
Okay. How did you first learn about tapping?
I first learned about tapping in 2017. I was a high school foreign language teacher at the time, Spanish, and I was looking for a tool to help me, concentrate better in class and just be more relaxed. And it was my brother who said, after watching me try to be a teacher for about 4 years, he said, "Why don't you try this thing called tapping," which he had done many years previous. And I said, "Okay, I'm going to give it a try." And lo and behold, on November 1st, 2017, my world was rocked, because starting that day, which was a Tuesday, I was at school, and I remember going into the teacher's lounge thinking, what is happening? What's happened to me? Was I hypnotized? Was I drugged? I didn't really understand what was going on because I was so calm, present in the moment. And I wrote the woman who taught me tapping, and I asked her those questions. I said, "Did you hypnotize me? What's going on?" So I should say that most of the clients that I work with get immediate results from tapping with me, and they could probably get the results on their own, but it's good to learn it with somebody. So most of the people, I would say more than 3/4 of the people that I do tapping with, they will get partial or complete reduction of symptoms, which can be stress or some other emotion, and it could be temporary reduction or permanent reduction, right? But there's definitely a shift in most cases the first time you try it. In my case, for reasons that I can theorize about at another time, it actually took me about 4 sessions, and the next morning I woke up in this new reality.
So why do you think that it is relatively unknown as kind of a self-help practice these days?
Well, the main reason is that tapping is only 30 or so years old. Gary Craig is basically considered the godfather of tapping, and in the early to mid-90s is when he created the process. So that's reason number 1. Reason number 2, that it's not so well known, although it's becoming more and more well known. More and more psychologists, in fact, are using it with their clients. But number 2 is the fact that in the West, we separate mind and body, and there's this thing that the Chinese have identified as qi, which is not even in any Western medical textbooks. So you're talking about something that's not even on the radar for 95% of society as of now.
Got it. So let's going back to the idea of calming the amygdala. what's that connection between the tapping act and the amygdala? Like scientifically, how does it all work?
That's an excellent question. Well, in tapping nowadays, we always tap on the same 9 meridian points. The body has over 300 meridian points, but regardless of what we're tapping on, we're going to always use the same 9, which would be here, 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 and here. And apparently, what's going on, and this is determined through, I guess, MRI images that they've done in clinical studies, that there is a down-regulating signal when you tap on these points that's sent to the amygdala. So, which, serves to calm the amygdala.
So, which issues does tapping help best?
Well, as its name implies, the full name of tapping is E.F.T tapping, which is Emotional Freedom Techniques. So, as its name implies, it works to neutralize negative emotions, right? Which range from anger to sadness to jealousy to guilt, if you're in grief. And it also works, as I like to say, on psycho-emotional issues. So, if you are sad, deeply sad, that can affect your sleep. So, tapping can also work for sleep-related issues like insomnia or procrastination, because procrastination is really just not being able to make up your mind because you might be scared of the outcome, right? So all of the psycho-emotional things, in addition to just the emotional issues, tapping can work wonders. There was a woman up in Healdsburg in Northern California who went to a clinic, alternative medicine clinic, where I do tapping. And I explained what tapping is used for, and I asked her if there's any of the, aforementioned issues that she might like to tap on. And she could not get out even 3 words in a row that she had just lost her job that week of 25 years. And she couldn't say 3 words, and she was basically breaking down crying. So we did the tapping for 10 or 15 minutes. It doesn't take long. And after the session, I said, okay, well, how do you feel now about your job? She said, oh, great, I can just go look for another one. In minutes, she was transformed.
Wow.
Her life was transformed. So, and that's really the incredible part about tapping, and that's where the freedom word comes from, in my opinion, is that when you neutralize your negative emotions, you find yourself, you feel like you have a superhuman power. You feel like, oh, I can just do this, no problem. Because, we don't often think about it, but what's normally going on is we're self-sabotaging, and we're creating our own problems and our own barriers and our own obstacles. And tapping, when it works, gets right to the root.
Excellent. What would you say is your ultimate aim or goal with this practice in your life?
Well, if I had to dream big, it would be for all of society, for all of the planet, for all parents to learn tapping and teach it to their children. That said, if all parents and all teachers, and all adults in the world knew tapping and emotionally self-regulated, the next generation of children would be far more regulated, and there would be far fewer problems in schools, in bars, in workplaces. Basically all of our problems outside of hurricanes and earthquakes and tornadoes are due to emotional issues.
Great. So like a ripple effect.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Excellent.
This, I believe if we all had our nervous systems re-regulated, we would be living, as I'm sure they did in Stone Age times, where people lived very simple lives in the now and didn't have a need to judge others, control others, and we would be, living in the now with our breathing patterns like they are when you're born as an infant, and This would kind of be like the Garden of Eden.
Where do you practice this? Where does a person need to come to find you, or do you go to them?
Well, if you're in Sonoma County, California, I can certainly come to you. It is also done online, whether they're sitting in front of me or behind their own computer screen. Is going to tap where I tap and repeat what I say, and it doesn't matter if I'm in the same room with you.
Yes, can you describe more about what the session actually looks and sounds like? What do you do with people?
Basically, psychoeducation is the first part of a class, that I have, these tapping classes, is psychoeducation. I go through all the different issues that tapping can be used for, and we'll do a round of tapping or a session of tapping, and then we'll see if there's any improvement with their, the intensity of their symptoms, if there's any improvement, and then we'll continue to tap, and then we'd look at a second issue of, for a different, probably emotionally related issue. So they get, in 1 hour you can get 2 sessions in. I have a couple of YouTube videos, and I refer people to videos where they can get a refresher of what we've just learned. It is a technique that you can easily teach yourself, but the benefit of working with a practitioner is, obviously there's ins and outs and there's things to keep in mind. But once you do it a couple of times with a practitioner, you can do it on your own. You can teach it to your spouse, your children, hopefully your neighbors, your children's teachers.